Well, hi everybody. Dear global locals. This has been just an amazing show we've had today and really happy to be a part of it here for Spoken World Online week number 334. And we've been doing this every week since March 20th, 2020. I'm going to be reading today from the Roarshock page, and I put a link to the text in the chat. And start with a quote from Anais Nin. Everything could undergo conversion except the artists. How can you convert disorganizers of past and present order, the chronic dissenters, those dispossessed of the present anyway, the atom bomb throwers of the mind, of the emotions seeking to generate new forces and a new order of mind out of continuous upheavals? So the piece I'm going to read is called Gualala Time. Starts with a note. One theory of this text oddly suggests that Lester Simon D was, if not literally, at least archetypally descended from the cosmic kid, euphonious hero of a short novel by Richard Sneed, or was that Richard Sneed, that appeared in the magazine Fantastic Stories, Volume 23, Number 5, July 1974. I think we had better set up that tent I brought along, I said, a place to hide just in case things get weird. We were sitting at the table in the camp an hour after having eaten the paper. The fog had lifted and bugs were beginning to buzz about. Good idea, Lester said. I got the pack tent and took it out of the duffel bag, spreading it out on the ground. I began to fiddle with the stakes and poles. There was the sense of a strange hum in the rapidly heating air. Hey, what's with this thing? I looked over at Lester. He was zipping up the door of the tent. The zipper came loose from the flap material as he zipped. It seems to be dissolving before my eyes, he exclaimed. I rushed over as Lester touched the mosquito netting of the door, which began to dissolve. I recoiled as the tent appeared to fade in and out of existence where it lay on the ground. It expanded and contracted and sounded a crackle in its own sudden wind. Frantically, I picked up the two parts of the tent pole and fitted them together. I picked up the two parts of the tent pole and fitted them together. I picked up the two parts of the tent pole and fitted them together. I picked up the two parts of the tent pole and fitted them together. I picked up the two parts of the tent pole and fitted them together. I picked up the two parts of the tent pole and cast them to the ground. Lester looked at me askance from across the fallen tent. I explained my experience fitting the tent pole together over and over again. He told me that I had only fitted it together once before throwing it to the ground. I was in a state of profound shock. I could not explain the way I felt rationally. The bizarreness of the events had put me in a state of mind that I had never before experienced. I concluded that for the present it was useless and dangerous to try and understand. I could only act. Time did not exist anymore. Time had stopped. I turned on Lester accusingly. How did you do this? I demanded. I didn't do anything, he retorted swiftly. I don't know what's going on any more than you do. I watched as this young man turned gray and old before my eyes and began to spit his teeth out on the ground. I think it's time we take a walk down to the beach, he said. I don't know, I said. Come along, Lester said, and he was young again. Just a little further down the road, he said. We started down the road to the beach, only it didn't go there anymore. We walked through a grove of trees and on into the same grove of trees, which we walked through into the same grove of trees, and on, like watching the same scene in a film over and over, the same film in a scene over and over, until finally we burst the bubble and stumbled into grassy meadow region with sparkling river on our right. We were on the other side of the wooded area, where the road ran down from the car camp. We stood to one side as the forest ranger drove up in his green forest ranger pickup truck. We flagged him down. Excuse us, Squire. We said we would like to buy some firewood. We took the firewood to the camp and then started down the road to the beach. Only it didn't go there anymore. We walked through a grove of trees and through the grassy meadow with the river on our right. We came to a stop in the dry bottom of a side creek bed. Lester, with a pleading urgency in his voice, stated that we didn't want to continue that way. And he turned his head in a cockeyed angle and began speaking in another voice, a voice that was not his own. Fire gleamed in his eyes as this voice said things that danced around the edges of explaining reality and illusion, illuminating tantalizing bits and pieces. These revelations all slipped away again with the sound of the voice, and all that remained was the memory of something forgotten that had seemed important. We walked back through the grassy meadow and back through a grove of trees, which we walked through into the same grove of trees, and on until finally we burst that bubble and we're on the other side of the wooded area where the road ran down from the car camp. We stood to one side as the forest ranger drove up in his green forest ranger pickup truck. We flagged him down. Excuse us, Squire, we said. We'd like to buy some firewood. The forest ranger peered out at us. Oh, he said, you would you?
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Rorschach. What a tale. Would you? I love it's just my kind of poem. I love to play with things like that. And you've got these crystal clear images, the green forest ranger pickup truck. We see exactly what you're describing, and the one thing to remember is the memory of something forgotten. So, oh my
Oh,
God.
what was that thing I was trying to remember to not
Right.
forget to tell you, David? It was
Oh my God. Okay, one